When did you decide to start a business?
Well, it was quite an interesting story. Last year, actually 2017, we had 164 events and we lost about 500,000 dirham, 4,500,000 dirham. So the first 7 years, it was me, him, and one receptionist, or let's say admin support person. You know, I didn't have an easy life. I didn't have a life where I would say everything was provided on a silver platter.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Game Changers YouTube channel. Today I'm meeting one of the best ladies entrepreneurs, businesswomen in Dubai. The lady's name is Niousha Ehsan. Nisha, welcome to our community. Can you please introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your story.
Absolutely. Well, I'm Niousha Ehsan, like you correctly pronounced.
Right.
And I'm the Chief Energy Officer at Linkviva events. Thank you so much for being here at our premise today. It's great to have you guys on board. I also am a mother of two beautiful daughters, Maisa and Maria. Actually, my second daughter is just 5 months old, so I'm just kind of getting back from maternity leave.
Right.
And I am married to my lovely husband, Puria, who is also our chairman, and we started Linkviva together.
All right.
It's a little bit about me.
When did it happen? When did you decide to start a business?
Well, it was quite an interesting story because I was working and I was 19 years old, so I was very young, and I met my husband, and in 5 months we were married, so I've always fast forward things in life.
Right.
And he told me that you're working in an advertising agency. That's what I was doing back then, and he said, you're really good, you're working really hard, why don't we start something together?
Right.
And I said, you know what, I'm game, let's do it. And we started from a shared office.
Okay.
Very small,
Where
like
was
one
it?
desk in Dubai Media City.
Okay.
And that had a very interesting story actually, because what happened is one day we were walking in Media City before any of this, and we both looked at each other, looked at the area and said, you know what, we really want to have an office here. So we went around and we asked, can we book an office here? You know, just a shared space. It was just shared offices, one desk. And they said, no, the area is fully booked. And we wanted that particular building, which was building number 8, because it was so nice. The area was beautiful. And a little bit later, we found out that one event company is selling, and it was called Linkviva.
Really?
And that was our only way to actually get an office in that building at that time. And that's how Linkviva was born. When we started, actually the first, I would say, 7 years, it was only me and my husband, and I had a receptionist.
7 years, guys. You want to make a huge corporation in 1 year? Listen carefully, 7 years. Do you remember the time, like the sign that helped you understand that, yeah, this is the time. This is the time when I need to start my business?
You see?
Was there some, I don't know, some event to this that led to this decision, or?
No, I think since I was very, very young, I remember I was 6 years old, and my friend used to play with Barbies, and that was their game. For me, I used to carry a big notepad, and I used to wear heels of my mom, and I used to walk around the office, and I would say, I'm the boss here. And I used to pretend, game with my friends that, you know, we have a company, and I'm running it, and I'm the manager. You know, I was always thrilled with having my own business. And I think for me, it was always very clear. You know, I have this blueprint of success, and I knew how I wanted my life to be, and everything was like a puzzle coming together. You know, when you're so clear in your vision and you're so clear about what you want in your life, and you have this inner faith that no matter what happens, I'm going to do what it takes to get there, then you know it. You know, for me, when I walked to this office, I knew this is going to be our office. And it's hilarious because they first rented us 2 other offices, and then they said the office has already been booked. So when my office manager at that time was concerned, I said, don't worry, we are moving in here. Same to my house. When I walked in, and I went to a friend's house there, and I knew that that's where I want to live. So actually the next month I moved in because it was so clear that this is what I want. I don't know, I always, maybe it's just being connected to this, having that inner peace and being connected, being clear about what is it that you really want. But so yeah, it wasn't like a moment that I would say it happened. born.
Did you think about the renaming when you were buying this company?
You know, we did, and then it was, I don't know, it had something in the name. It was like Viva, because Viva is for, you know, celebration, and then it was the link, so it was like linking. So we were like, you know what, let's focus on other things. And at that time, to be fair, we didn't have money to invest in a branding company to really redo a logo and really invest in brand positioning. It was just like, that's our least concern, let's just move on.
I get it. So remember, if you start the business, the last thing that you need to think of is the naming and branding. The first thing you need to think of is sales, actually selling and making money. Nisha, how much money did you have when you started? Because people thinking that business is for millionaires, for people who have some fortune and they only then can start business. Like,
no, not at all. I think just enough to pay 3 months to 6 months of the expenses. And you know, thanks for being in Dubai, you can always get funding at the beginning of the business. You know, you can get a loan and you can. So I don't remember, it was many years ago, but it was definitely not more than 100,000 dirhams, I would say.
All right. Get the #1 step-by-step guide on how to become your own boss in the UAE. You will learn how to start your own business in the UAE. Just click the link in the description below this video and follow this link. This is your time to start. Click the link below this video. Bam! As you see, guys, happiness is not a destination, it is a way of life. And a way of life of Niousha allowed her to get all these, I don't know, awards, different kind of competition certificates. Can you please tell us a little bit about it? How did you manage to get so many of them?
Sure. I think, first of all, I particularly put this here because the first thing people walk into the office every morning is they're going to look at that. And in big, it's written happiness. And it's not a destination, it's really a way of life, because we all have challenges in our life, but it's, you know, it's what comes from within you. And it's important for me that people that are here that are happy. So that's why that was there. And how we got these awards, it's again, I was never after getting awards. And that's not how these came to life. One of our employees in 2015 approached me one day and said, you know what, why don't we submit an entry for the Middle East Event Awards? And I said, okay, why would we do that? He said it could give us recognition. You know, I go to places and I say Linkviva, we're doing amazing projects. Nobody knows who Linkviva is. We've got our own video suite.
Really? How are you guys? How is it going? Editing is done? Nice, amazing. Wow.
It's a it's a big space, so we've got everything to the back, but this is where we store a lot of items for our clients, and when we reuse them at events, this is where the magic happens.
Wow. How many items do you have here?
Oh, don't ask.
It's really huge. What is behind this door? Why is written do not enter?
Do not enter, because we've got our inventory and our IT set up here, so it's kind of, it's sensitive items that you shouldn't mess with.
I got it. Tell us a little bit about your family. Did they support your decision at the very early start days?
I think, yeah, one of my biggest inspiration has been my father, because he was very much into energy healing and in empowering and inspiring me. So since I was very young, he used to always say, don't forget, you're Niousha. And I used to say, so what? One day I remember I got so upset and I said, what do you mean you're Niousha? He said, just remember, you're Niousha. What would you do? And so he always, you know, at a very young age, I used to sit in our family when my parents used to fight and have arguments. He used to ask me to join the club and actually ask me, what do you think? And as a 5-year-old, I would go, what do I think? I think this, you know. And I started really I got marriage counseling too. That's how I got married, into marriage counseling. So they really supported me. Similarly, my mom was always there to support my decision, because I was such a mature kid. They never really questioned anything. I was quite independent at a very young age as well. But it was never a case of getting financial support from my family.
Right.
I actually always wanted to be successful, to be in a position to even support my family financially, because I always believe what you didn't have in your childhood is what you always go after in your adulthood.
Exactly.
So that's how it was.
And can you tell us about your background? Which country are you coming from?
I'm from Iran.
From Iran.
Yes, and I've been living in the UAE since the past 22 years. So I actually went to school here, I went to university here, then I started
So you came
working
here with the family, right?
I came here originally with the family. So I was already here since 22 years ago.
Business questions.
Yes, go on.
You said your first client was Nestle. It's a big company. Like for small entrepreneurs, to get a big guys like Nestle is something like a miracle or a dream. How did you manage to do this?
So when we wanted to set up, like you said, it was a dream to get multinational clients, and we were nobody. How would they give us the business? We didn't have any track record.
Yeah.
So actually we decided strategically that instead of going and approaching clients to do their events, we would come up with our own event concept, and that will give us the opportunity to showcase what we're capable of. So we launched our own shows. One of them was the weight loss show, which was a health and fitness event.
I remember.
Another one was a great parenting show. So what happened is I used to call these multinational clients and invite them to come and participate in our show. So that happened. It was challenging, but then we got them on board. It was a great success actually the first year. And when these companies came to our event, they realized how well we organized things. They came to me, and actually Nestle came to me. They were our exhibitor. They had a small booth, and my client came to me and said, "Can you actually do our events?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. What kind of events?" And she said, "I want to do cooking shows."
Wow.
for Nestle, going from one house to the other. And I thought, you know what? It's not your most exciting large-scale project, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I can learn so much in this journey, so let's do this. So that's how actually we started. I remember we once did an event for NBC celebrating their birthday parties, and their budget was 2,000 dirham. So I was like, yes, we got the event. So what is the event? They're like, we want you to organize every month our birthdays for our staff, and our budget is 2,000 dirham per event. I was like, 2,000, okay. 2,000 times 12, that's 24,000 in a year, no problem, we'll do it.
Yeah.
And these were how we were doing our first events, you know. We learned a lot in that journey, and we really worked and grew organically. So to answer your question, we started doing something really small, but really showing the client what we're capable of, how we do things, and then they trusted us, and then we organically started doing larger and larger events. And I'm so proud to say 2018, we just closed our year, and the number of projects that we've done, which are huge projects, and they're all above $1 million, has been our largest number ever since we have set up Linkviva. So we have gained the trust of our clients to give us those large projects, which is amazing. So I think that's, you can see some quotes in the office, and I had particularly chosen these quotes. So this is our first meeting room, which is called the Idea Hub. And I particularly chose that quote, which says, train your mind to see the positive. Because I always believe in every situation, you know, you say you have the glass half full and half empty.
Yeah.
And for me, it's a reminder for my team that always focus on the half full and the positive out of every situation. Even in the worst situations, there is a learning, and that's the positive. So we gotta always focus that. So this is our stand-up meeting room. So this is for quick meetings when you don't wanna waste a lot of time sitting down.
Yeah.
And you're about bang, 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 this is what we need to achieve. So that's where we have our quick meetings.
Nice.
And this is our kind of bigger meeting room called Think Tank. So this is where we gather together to really think, brainstorm, come up with ideas. And again, it's funny because I had 2 codes and I only had another meeting room. So I had 2 meeting rooms, but 3 codes. So I was like, what am I gonna do? So I actually mixed 2 codes here. And this is what I live my life based on. It's my philosophy that if it is to be, it is up to me. Because I always believe that you can blame other people. You can say something didn't happen because of what. But if it is to be, if you want to do something, you can only make it happen. So if it is to be, it's up to me. And then the second one was whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. So
Yeah.
be careful because your mind is very powerful.
That's
So
true.
yeah,
That's true.
these were my reminders. This is a continuation of our client servicing and project management from there as well. But these teams that sit here, they mainly focus on the government projects.
I got
So
it.
this is the kind of the government division.
So how old were you when you started? You said 19?
Yes.
So do you think it's too early or too late?
Well, I also got married when I was 19, so
Yeah.
answer that question.
Yeah.
I really don't think it's the age. It's to do with the person, their maturity, what they're willing to do. You know, I didn't have an easy life. I didn't have a life where I would say everything was provided on a silver platter.
Right.
I had to really work hard to get there. But again, I was willing to do what it takes to get there. I was willing to pay the price. I was willing to spend the sleepless nights. I remember when we started, I used to be the first, obviously, in the entire media city that used to arrive, in the entire shared space offices that used to sit on my desk. And I would leave home around 8 p.m. and then all the way to 2 a.m. I was on the phone because we were working with Canada and we had to make phone calls and their timing was different. So for me, it's not the age of a person. I've met so many people in my life, from very young to very old. And I can't tell you that age has anything to do with it. Because, you know, I always say about there is a skill and there is a will.
Yeah.
So it has to have a balance between the both. And, you know, I started when I was 16 in an advertising agency, like I said. I actually graduated and got my diploma from school 2 years earlier than all my friends, because one day I just went home and I told my parents I don't want to go to school. And they panicked and they said, what do you mean you don't want to go to school? Oh my God. I said, no, I'm going to study on my own and I want to start working. So I actually did my studies in 2 months. I went to the British Council at that time and I gave my exams and I got my diploma like that. So I always had an early start, and I always, even as a child, I was very mature for my age. So I always had older friends. And again, so that's to do with the age, but key question, are you willing to do what it takes? That's what I would say.
Do you remember how much money did you make in your first? Were you profitable in the first months of your business operations?
Well, let me just go back a little bit. If you were starting a business today, this was 15 years ago nearly,
Yeah.
and you have a product that you're reaching to the consumers, that's a different story. Your name, how you come across, actually that would be one of your best investment. But for us, we were planning to do our own IP shows, our own events. So they would each have its own branding. That's why we were not very much focused on the naming. Profitable in the first month, I haven't heard of a business that was profitable in the first month.
Yeah.
But I would say profitable in the first year, yes.
Yeah.
Every year since we set up Linkviva, we've been profitable.
Okay.
And for me, one of the key things that I would say is if you want to set up a business, we all have reasons that we set up our businesses.
What was your reason?
But sometimes those reasons are for personal satisfaction, to show yourself, you know, to prove yourself, to prove others in our life. It goes back to the human psychology. But actually, the number one reason you start a business is to make money. So never forget that. And if you are, I've met with people who are doing their business for many years and they're saying, yeah, but you know, next year, eventually we will be profitable. No, rethink your business model from now, because that's why you started it. Don't forget.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there's so many other reasons, but then you could have done other things, not start a business.
So our future planner came back. So let's go and meet him. Nisha, can you please introduce us,
Yes.
our viewers?
Absolutely.
Yeah, please, let's go. Have a look and meet.
So I'm actually here, and where I am because of this gentleman. He's the one who found me first, don't forget. Hi, Priya. I was telling them we are very professional.
Hi, Maxime.
I was telling them how amazing it is to have your business run with your husband and wife.
Yes.
I have the same story. I ran it with my wife. Yeah.
We
So,
should meet offsite.
yeah. Yeah. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself? What made you come to business? And
You mean my partner hasn't done that already?
yeah, she is, but I want to listen from your perspective.
Sure. So would you like to know more about the business or personal journey?
About your story, did you have experience before Linkviva? What made you come to do business? What made you come to this decision?
Sure. I had business experiences before, but not particularly in the industry of events. And I think events is something we run in everybody's blood naturally. Being organized, getting people together, and basically creating memorable experiences. Something we do with our own parties, with our own gatherings. So it's more or less in everybody's DNA. But taking it to a professional level, and I actually being able to do it for corporates and companies alike, it's a different ballgame, obviously. So it's been a very interesting journey. Dubai is a fascinating place for an event company or an event industry, and there's a lot happening here, which is beyond the borders of a city, because obviously this city hosts and entertains the entire region or the globe. So it's way more than meets the eyes, and it's been a very fascinating journey working with your wife, because obviously wives are there to keep you intact and keep you organized.
Yeah.
So she was always there to keep me organized and keep the business organized. So we became a very, very organized event organizing company. So it's been an extremely fascinating journey. It's been very rewarding. And I think this market is extremely rewarding to good work and attention to details and basic quality. So we basically simply had to do what any human being likes to do, to produce good work and be basically rewarding to the environment or the ecosystem they work with. So the environment and the ecosystem obviously in return rewarded us back with great clients, great opportunities. So the result was being able to organize fascinating events for our great clients.
So the first 7 years, it was me, him, and one receptionist, or let's say admin support person. And till that time, for us, our focus wasn't to really build a huge business. We were still figuring out what is it that we really want to do. And honestly, because we had gotten married just then, in 5 months that we knew each other, we wanted to explore the world. So every year we would spend 3 months and we would travel the world. And we were always thinking that if we have a big business, of course you cannot just leave for 3 months and shut the doors. So that's what we did for the first 7 years. And after that, I remember one day we just looked at each other and said, you know what, enough is enough. We've seen enough of the world, and we really need to build something and take this business to the next level.
How long you've been in business already?
So this year you mean? 14 years.
14 years. So after 14 years, you might think that you already get something. You get to some point where you can really, really do big things. Like, because people, they see all these successful stories. They want to be like, tomorrow they want to be millionaires. You know?
True. I would say that what we have built in Linkviva and what you see today was really built in 5 years. This where we are and what we do is a 5-year journey, because before that, like I told you, it wasn't really, we were doing smaller things and it wasn't really about building the business. And now, you know, if you're fast, you're willing to do what it takes, you don't have to wait 14 years, you can get there faster, but don't expect everything to happen in the first year.
Right. How many events do you have per year?
Last year, actually 2017, we had 164 events. 164 events. And in 2018...
Like every second day you have an event?
Yeah. Or sometimes, like today, we have multiple setups. That's why many of the team are on the setups. But last year we had close to 100. So we actually reduced the number of events, but we increased them in the value and the size of the events that we do strategically.
For how many years you've been doing the business already? When you started applying?
Maybe it was already 10 years we were doing the business.
After 10 years?
Yeah. And until then, because obviously we didn't do marketing, we were not really promoting ourselves, we were only servicing to our clients, a lot of people didn't know who Linkviva was. So I said, you know what, okay, why don't you apply, because I'm not into it, why don't you take the lead? And he actually submitted an entry for us at the Middle East Event Awards, and it was one entry. And I remember it was so funny because we won the activation, I think it was the brand activation of the year. when they said the winner is Linkviva, a room full of 500 people turned and said, who? Who are they? So we all went up on the stage and we were excited, and obviously we got our first award. And then ever since then, I think, I don't know how, it just happened. You know, we got approached by, actually, we submitted for the SME Awards, which is a top 100 SMEs. And at
Number
that
39,
time,
yeah.
yes, we got the number 39. At that time, I was really thinking to myself, we're not going to win. Why are we wasting our time? What do we have that is so special, you know?
Yeah.
To be the top 100 companies in Dubai, you need a lot of corporate governance, you needed a lot of systems and procedures, and you needed all these documentations. But I said, you know what, let's just submit. And honestly, when I got the news that we were recognized as number 39 for our very first submission, when people have been submitting for years, that was the first time that I thought to myself, we're doing something really right, and we don't know it.
Right.
You know,
Nice.
we were doing it, but we didn't know what was it that we were doing right. And again, ever since then, it was we were being contacted to say, would you like to submit for this? So we won the Business Vision Award because, again, for me as a businesswoman, finances are very important. So I'm always focusing on the way we handle our finances. So we had actually doubled our turnover every year. So for Finance Middle East magazine, they contacted me and said, is this true? And I said, yeah, I had said it in one of the interviews then. And they said, we want to come and, you know, interview
Understand,
you
yeah.
and understand what you've been doing. So that's how we got the Most Improved Business of the Year in the Finance Middle East Awards, the Business Vision Awards. And that's how it came to my surprise that I was featured on the cover of Finance Middle East magazine. Because I had no idea I was being featured. So one day I saw an artwork and I was tagged into it on Instagram. And I thought it's a joke. I started laughing. I was like, who did this, guys? And I was with my core team and I was like, come on, guys, which one of you did this? But I like it anyway, thanks for doing it. And they were like, what are you talking about? And I showed them the cover of the magazine, and it just happened that it was true. So I called them and I said, next time at least ask my permission and give me a heads up. So yeah, so we've got basically the A rating from SME. We got the 39 on SME 100. We also won again from Middle East Event Awards, the people, I think this was the Best Employer of the Year. Yes, that's what it was. We were a finalist at the Gulf Capital Business of the Year. I mean, honestly, there are too many. I don't even remember them anymore. But yeah, it's been an honor. So this is actually our creative, and so many of our team are on site today because we are having 2 large events. But this is basically our creative and our production team.
Wow.
And I particularly put them here, although they don't like me for it because of the because of the lights. Because in any creative, you need to be inspired to be creative, and I think natural sunlight is really, really a good. Having long windows and having the natural sunlight really helps your mood in the day. So hopefully you can be more creative.
So these guys here, they are doing the creative stuff?
Creative and production.
Only?
Absolutely, yes.
Right, nice. Okay, what is this area about?
Well, basically this is our little lounge, because being in the event industry, sometimes guys actually stay in the office. So this is where they lie down and sleep for a few hours.
I got it.
And that's what they asked me. So when we were designing the space, they said, can you please make sure we get some comfy sofas? Because we might sometimes need to get a quick break, and that helps them.
Okay.
And this is basically our client servicing and our project management team, which is why they're not here, because they're on site for our amazing projects. And here is where we call it our huddle area. So every morning, we gather with our team, and we have a very quick meeting, which is called huddle. And what we say is, what is it that you want to share that you've done as a success yesterday? What is it that you're doing today? And do you have any blocks or challenges that you need other people to help? So that really helps us as in our teamwork to share with each other what we're doing, to celebrate our successes and get acknowledged, and also if we have any challenges, to see who else can help us.
Hey everyone, now is my favorite part, the hot seat questions. This is not working for now, but we will pretend that it is working. I will be asking you questions and you will be answering.
Okay.
It can be long description, but I will ask you fast and you can reply fast.
Okay.
But not necessarily in short.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Dubai or hometown?
Dubai.
Why?
I love everything about this city. First of all, the inspiration from Sheikh Mohammed, how he's built from nothing. I moved here 22 years ago. I remember there was no Sheikh Zayed Road, and to what it is today, it's the biggest inspiration in business to actually get inspired by. So definitely Dubai.
Who is the best businessman in the history of planet?
I don't know.
Which is the best city in the UAE?
Dubai, for sure.
Why?
I love Dubai. I don't know, there is the vibe. It's just Dubai.
Dynamic.
Yeah.
The worst ever decision that you made in your life and business?
I'm not going to say because I got married. If you ask me the best, I would say that's the best decision I took. The worst decision I took in business and hiring the wrong people and trusting them.
Yeah. How much did your life change when you actually started business and you earned your first money?
Oh, a lot.
You got the proof of concept.
Okay, our life changed in two different ways. One way was that, imagine for 7 years as a newlywed, you would travel 3 months of the year, you would go and see the world, and then to suddenly having to work like 15 hours in a day.
Yeah.
So that's how my life changed. It was really not about fun. I remember we used to not go anymore to any social gatherings or anything. It was just about work. From a financial point of view, we had a very tough start because when we got married, we bought our first house, and I was very excited because I furnished it. It looked beautiful.
Spent lots of money.
And then we had just the license to do event management, so we decided to do a concert and to bring Schiller, which was a German band, to Dubai. That was in 2005. And what happened is, let's just say we didn't know how the game works, and we lost about 500,000 dirham, 400,000 to 500,000 dirham in that event. And it was the very first event from a money that we didn't have, that we owed, and now we had to pay. So the story was that we had to sell our house and actually fund and pay back the money that we had lost at that time. So it was a very, very rough start. But I think what it did, it really, sometimes you do your business for a few years or for long, and then you get hit.
Yeah.
For us, we got hit right at the beginning. It was right at the start that we got hit. And it really allowed us to pause and say, wait a minute, what are we doing? And we don't have this money to start wasting. So we need to really have the right strategy of what kind of projects we want to do, how we want to move forward.
Did you think of quitting at that time?
No, we had no option. So, always I say something. I believe the most successful people are successful because they didn't have any other option.
Yeah.
I wasn't having the luxury to say, oh, you know what, it may not work, so let's just not do it. No, I had to pay the bills. And I had just sold a house that I bought 4 months ago, and I had beautifully furnished it, and I was so excited about it.
Yeah.
So it was like, you know what, we're gonna start from scratch, but we're gonna make it. And one of the things that really helped us in that journey, even from back then, was the help of coaches and advisors and consultants. So I remember the first thing we did, my partner said, we need to hire a consultant. We went to business advisors, we went to coaches, and we went to the people who had done this business at that time, and we said, what do we do?
Really?
Yes.
So one of my favorite parts is when business owners have dedicated cafe areas for their employees.
Of course.
Yeah.
So
Tell us a little bit
this is
about
our cafe.
this.
And when I was designing here, what was so important for me was to make sure that I create a fun area.
Yeah.
Because again, our industry is very stressful, and so many times, we just need to chill and let ourselves loose, which is why we come here, play a little bit of ping pong, And again, I had put some quotes on the walls to just remind my team to be yourself, be positive, be grateful, and be kind, because at the end, we are one team. At the end, we want you to be happy, and you have to live your life while you're working really, really hard. So yeah, this is our cafe.
What is this for?
So this is whenever we get a confirmation on an event, they have to write it here, so we know what's happening in the office. In fact, when this one is not complete, but yeah, so like this month we've got many projects happening. So as you saw, most of the team were not on site, not in here because they're on site, but yeah.
Looks nice.
And I just wanted to give it a little bit of a fun, you know. So
you got distracted absolutely here.
Yeah. And so every Thursday we have a Thursday breakfast here. We actually set up the entire area, and people come and make their own eggs. They bring their own, they become our chefs. And yeah, we have a really nice Thursday breakfast for everybody every week, every Thursday.
I like this saying. And this.
It's like, let it go.
Didn't they perceive you as a competitor at that time? Like someone is trying to do the same business as I'm trying to do?
To be honest, not at all.
No?
I mean, I was a nobody at a very small shared space, planning to do events, and I was going to the person who was working for IIR at that time, and which is Informa, and having done hundreds of huge consumer and corporate exhibitions. So. And of course we were paying them. It wasn't like, please, as a free consultancy, help me. It was like, you know, tell me how to do it, and I want to get this right.
Nice. It's a good advice actually. If you want to start your own business, you can try to go to some company that is actually doing what you want to do and pay them to give you like a roadmap for your future development. So remember that.
And I like to add something. I always say, don't look for the perfect teacher. Be the perfect student. Because so many times I have seen that people go to coaches and advisors. You know, I do coaching as well. People come to me, I don't charge for it. I do it as a CSR. But I always tell them at the beginning, I say, don't think that I have all the answers and I am better than you. No. In this scenario, you need to be the best student. Because if you're the good student, you capture and get the best out of me.
Do you think like some people who want to start business, they are looking for mentors and for coaches?
Yes.
Do you think this coaches should be from the same industry, or it can be from any industry?
Again, you need coaches on different walks of life, because you definitely need to talk to someone who's in your industry for the business side of things, of how to do it.
Okay.
But more than anything, in any business, you have to be a good leader. And leadership is something that you can learn from anyone. And I like to say something, there isn't one perfect way of leadership. There are so many great leaders around the world, and I've seen them in Dubai, but each of them have their own style of leadership. You know, I always say I'm very different to how my husband does his, you know, is a leader, his leadership style. He's an amazing leader, but his leadership style is very different to how I lead. So you got to be yourself. Don't go to a mentor and see what they have done and try to copy them. It's so important to be you and what's valuable to you and how you want to appear in life and how you want to show up in life and what kind of a leader you aspire to be. So just be yourself. Get inspired, but be yourself. So it was in this office, we respect one another, we dream big, we're grateful, we give hugs, we make mistakes, we say I'm sorry, we forgive each other, and we're a family. So yeah, let's go up.
So every time you are reminded.
I actually read it every time I'm going up the stairs. Again, we keep our promises, we never give up, we have fun, we laugh together, we acknowledge each other, we're patient, we love, and we're Linkviva. So this is actually our finance office. We call it the vault. Yeah, so that's our...
The vault.
That's the finance. This is this is our HR room.
Okay.
And
you have a quiet room.
We have a quiet room. Well, the idea is to, because again, it's a shared office space, sometimes people want to come sit and just focus.
You tell me what is shared office. Okay.
And this is what I call, so this is actually my office. So I call it my room, which is a chief energy officer, and I call this the energy lab. So every time you want to meet me, you actually come to the energy lab, and after the meeting, I've helped increase your energy levels or brought it down. So I always assess, after I finish the meeting, what did I really do in this meeting? How did I help? Did I empower my team, or did I leave them worse than they came in through the doors?
This is your office.
Yes.
Let's have a look what you have on your desk.
Sure.
So you have a standing desk?
Yes, I do. I do have a standing desk because it really helps your posture, especially when you're working really, really long.
Yeah.
So it helps the posture. It's quite difficult when you have heels, but
Yeah.
it helps to sit straight. Also, I feel that I get more done. It's interesting when I'm kind of standing.
Did you buy it here?
Yes, I did.
Really?
I did, yeah.
We were trying to find something like this as
Are
well.
you serious? Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay, so what you have some key. This is, I think, from a projector or something.
So I have a gift that I got from.
I'm bossy. I'm the boss. What
I'm
is
not
this?
bossy. I am the boss. That's the magazine I was talking about. So dusty though.
Finance Middle East. Yeah,
Do I look younger or older?
younger. Now.
No, thank you. So I would say everything really started for us in the last 5 to 7 years, where we really built the company. And that's when we started hiring. So we hired one person who was going to help me in project management. So I was actually doing sales, I was doing project management, I was doing on-site setup. I always say I was even proud going to my events, which was very small, and picking up the garbage from the floor. And I did that with pride. You have to do what it takes to succeed. You should never have shame in doing anything in your own business. So I did that. And we hired one person who we still have till today. He's actually come a long way as well. He was my project junior. Now he's our director of business operations. So we hired him, and I started teaching every single thing of how I was doing things and how I wanted to do it. And then slowly from then the company grew to 5 people. Then we moved to a bigger office. I'll tell you a funny story. One of my clients, actually our only client then, was Nestle. And we're still in touch, and we work together. I love the lady. And one day she called us and she said, I want to come and visit your offices. And then I hung up the phone. I looked at my partner, our admin, and this other gentleman. I said, guys, she wants to visit our office. Which office? It was a desk.
Yeah.
And we were like, she's going to come here and say, what office? Is this Linkviva? Like this desk here?
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what we'll do? Let's just make the desk look bigger, and we take the other desks too. So I always remember that story. She walked in, and for her, because of the way we were handling projects, she thought Linkviva, she's gonna come to at least a decent office. So she just walked in and she's like, okay, great, where's the office? So why are we standing here? And I was like, that's the office. She's like, what, Niousha? Linkviva is this? And I said, we're moving to a bigger office next month, but we had some challenges. And anyway, we both started laughing. And actually next month we moved to a bigger office. And then we went from, just 5 to 10 to 20. And today we're around 40, I think, full time. And we work with a lot of freelancers as well. So yeah, it's been
What do you think made you jump so high? Like, from 2 people on a shared desk to a huge office like this? What is the key to success?
Yeah, I would say there's 2 things. One was your drive. The first 7 years, I was personally, and I think the same for my partner, we were driven to build our relationship and our partnership, and also make sure we have enough to support the lifestyle that we had. We weren't really after, building a business and becoming the success blueprint that we had in mind. But in 2011 or 12, I believe, that's when we were both started with the decision that we want to do this. And I think that decision gives you the drive, but it has to be done at a time. For us, it was done at a time where we knew we're willing to give it all it takes. We're willing to compromise, sacrifice, do whatever it takes to actually make it. Going back was not an option for us.
Yeah. What is the biggest event that you did?
What is it? You mean?
I mean, in terms of scale and in terms of budget, whatever.
It's a very diverse question in many ways, because we've done an event that maybe financially wasn't the largest, but we've had like 200,000 people because we ran it for a month. It was an activation for a month, and obviously all the people that go to the mall, they would be our audience. We had to take care of them. Or we have done an event for 500 people, but it has been very high caliber, and we've had many celebrities in there. Or we've done something which has been very financially big, but you know, not that much. So it's very diverse, I would say. Is it exposure, it's financial, and it's the caliber of the audience. They all matter in making a big event. And I'm happy to say we've done all fronts. We've done very high numbers because we work a lot with the malls. Currently, we're actually having a setup at Dubai Festival City for their pirate campaign. We work a lot with Dubai Mall, and we've had an event which was very high caliber. So we did the Vogue Fashion Dubai experience, and we had a lot of celebrities in the room. Also, we've done financially. I mean, most of our events currently are more than $1 million. So also financially, they're quite large scale.
Do you contact celebrities by yourself? Like you invite them, or?
No, we usually work with the partner who actually does that, and that's their expertise.
Ah, I got it. If a company of 10 people would like to make an event, what would be your advice? Event like, I don't know, it can be a team building event, or it can be like, I don't know, like a gathering event, something like this. What would you recommend to do? How to budget what to do, or it's better to come to a company like yours to do it?
I would say go to the experts. And for example, if you're looking for a 10 people team building or even 50 people team building, we wouldn't be the experts. I would refer you to another company. Because I think one of the so important things is not trying to do everything yourself and say that I'm a jack of all trades, but really being specialized. So everybody that you see here is our creative team, for example. They're specialized in the type of creative events that we do. You know, similarly from industries, our client servicing, our project management, know those type of events. And it's a very wide spectrum, because you can think of a wedding, to a birthday party, to a team building event, to a gala dinner, to a government event, to an activation, to a stand at an exhibition, and they're all kind of referred to as events, but they're really each a huge aspect of you know, things that come with it. So depending on what kind of events they're doing, find the experts, and I would say go to at least 3 companies and get a comparison, so you can really know who is it that you feel more comfortable working with, who is it that understands your challenge and really wants to help you. One of the things that I would say I pride myself in Linkviva, and I always talk to my team about, is find out from your client their why. Why is it that you're doing an event? And not just that person who's giving you the brief, the organization why. And then make sure with what you're proposing, you're actually answering and helping their why. Because if you want to do an event to engage with people, and I bring you just entertainment that you have to sit and watch, even though you might clap and say amazing entertainment, I haven't addressed your real problem. So it's really important to find out the why, and find out a company that understands your why and the people that you like to work with.
In one of the interviews you said, or it was an article, I don't remember exactly, you said that you're in 50 most respected and most recognized event companies in the world.
Yes.
How did you manage to get this award?
That was again one of our, I have an amazing team who take great initiatives. So one of our team members took this initiative and said, you know what, we're doing amazing projects, we should submit for it. And again, I told him, why are you wasting your time? Let's do something more productive. And he said, just leave it to me. I said, okay. And the next thing I know, he sends me that we've actually been listed as the top 50 event companies in the world in the Special Events magazine. And I just told him, how did you do it? What did you do? And he said, you're welcome. And it was, I think the highlight of what I'm saying is, I wasn't running after getting these awards.
Yeah.
But I was really after, what is it that we're doing right? So I asked myself this question on a daily basis. What is it that we're really doing right that we keep getting these recognitions? And it came down to one thing. I already highlighted a lot of these submissions, a lot of these entries were done by my team. And I think in any great organization, a leader should never get too proud of themselves. They should never get too egoistic that I am doing this. I could have not done any of this if it wasn't for my amazing team. So really building a core leadership team that you can work together in a way that you help them and they help you, and you go up together, that's the key thing in the success of Linkviva.
Watch next, how to hire a best talent in Dubai.
This is for my PA. I can't live without a good PA. I would recommend that the moment that you can afford a PA, get a PA, because that really, really could be a life changer.
Yeah.
And I'm a very fast-paced person, so for me, in order for me to get my balance in life, what I do is I record my voice. So for my emails, I actually voice record the message and say what to say, and then she's my
typing.
magician that does all the typing and she replies on my behalf.
What I see on the desk is probably from the book, The Value Proposition Design. I will show you the cover here. How do you use it? What do you need it for?
This actually is from a course that I attended, and I found it so interesting that I really thought to myself, I'm going to put it up on the wall, because it was really about what kind of value do you provide to your clients. At the end of the day, all businesses is about value generation. And it was so interesting when you start looking at it that way, that really who's your customer segment? What is the value proposition? What products and services do you offer? What are the gain creators, pain relievers? How is your product helping the client gain value? And how is it relieving the pain that they have? So for me, it was really, really interesting when I did this exercise, and I put it here as a reminder. So every now and then I just assess, are we really relieving their pain? I always say to my team, think of yourself as the painkillers. You are the doctors. They come to you because they don't know what to do. So you have to have the answer. You have to help them and make them feel more peaceful, relaxed, and take ownership of their challenges. So we take care of their headache, basically.
What was the happiest moment in your life?
When I delivered my 2 daughters, both times.
What is success for you?
Success is living the blueprint of success that you've always wanted to live. When you reach that, and it's different for every person, for me, it's living that blueprint of success.
If you could meet anyone in the world's history, who that man or woman would be?
Oprah.
Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
So do you think it's real to meet her in general?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, so your goal is pretty realistic, right?
Yeah, I think so. If I really want to meet her, I could.
So why is Oprah?
I think the fact that she started from, she wasn't born privileged, but she actually made all her way through, and there is something authentic about her which I really admire. And the fact that she has impacted a lot of people's lives with the journeys, the stories, and the people she's brought to the show.
Excellent. When you meet with God, what would you tell him?
Thank you. So I'm very grateful. So this is basically all the audiobooks that I have listened to.
How many are here?
Oh, I don't know. You do the count.
Where do you find time for all of this?
So when we started, especially the business, at the beginning, all I was doing is every time I would sit in a car, we never listened to music.
Yeah.
And at home, we never really watched TV. So for us, it was always about, always looking at audio videos of successful speakers or other entrepreneurs, or in the car listening to audiobooks.
Who is your favorite?
So this was my, who's my favorite? Honestly, I have favorites in many different aspects of life. So for example, one of the things I just remember was the 1 minute apology. sometimes it's so difficult for us to accept that we've done something wrong, and we just say we're sorry, but we don't really mean it. So that was really impacting me in that area. I've got other ones that is about, being able to set a goal and see your goals come true. So there's so many of them. I don't even remember which one I would say would be my best one, but obviously I love Anthony Robbins. I know he's very hyped up, but I really love his energy, and I love how he handles everything with the personal aspect. So he's definitely one of my favorites.
What could you recommend, like 3 top maybe speakers or books that you could recommend to a beginner entrepreneur or to the existing entrepreneur to make a big change?
Actually, I like to say something. For me, listening to these audiobooks, because they're so different, it was never like, oh, this one and that's it, I'm listening and my life is sorted.
Yeah.
It was actually very interesting because when you listen to the different speakers, you realize how different they are. And the distinction of their difference also helps you get the distinction that it's not one way or one road to success. So you could hear an audiobook that tells you how to achieve a goal, and then you could listen to another audiobook that tells you to totally do something opposite. So I would say the more you listen, the more you learn and find what you value and what you like is a better path than really going with one specific speaker or direction. When I was very young, when I was a teenager, I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I was very, very young, and that was the first book I actually sat and read. I read it 5 times, and it really impacted me. And then the next book I got was The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. So imagine reading all about how to get rich, and then reading a story about the monk who actually sold his Ferrari. It really gave me 2 sides of, yes, being rich and successful, but also being happy and content, and you need to have that balance. So these were 2 books that really impacted me at a very, very young age.
I got it. Would you like to expand to other businesses, or you want to stay focused on your current business only?
I think every human being does what they do, and they set up a business because of their why, since we're on the why subject. And we all have this blueprint for success. So I'm very happy to say that I have reached the level in my life that I have arrived at my inner peace. And I am living my blueprint of success. So anything that I do from here onward is to enjoy life, to create an impact, and to really leave a legacy, I would say. So I haven't really thought about, would I set up another business or would I diversify? We have, I would say, gone with the flow. Every day is a learning in the business of what your client requires and how you can go. But what personally really inspires me and makes me get up in the morning is how can I impact people's lives? How can I help them in their personal journey? And that's my life coach in me.
Yeah. What was the most difficult thing that happened to your business so far?
I think the most difficult thing was when the first event that we did, which lost money, it was a great shock. And being able to gain the strength and faith that I'm gonna make this happen and I'm gonna do it was probably the most difficult thing. And I believe we all have to have faith, we all have to believe in ourselves, and we all have to really, really believe that I am gonna do what needs to happen and I'll make it happen. So sometimes in business, that's the most challenging part because you start doubting. So when we obviously at the beginning of our journey, we lost so much money and we couldn't get the sponsors and we had to sell our house to fund the loss. It's very easy to, get sad and think that maybe I cannot. So I had to really work hard on myself.
It's my fate.
To have to have faith that I can turn things around.
Look at this camera. The guys who are sitting there or standing there, they want to start business, or some of them already have business. What would be your advice to these viewers who want to start business?
I would say definitely do it. I think there's nothing more rewarding than starting your own business. The fact and the reality is starting a business is very scary because all the rewards and all the failures lies with the people who start the business. There is no sugarcoating, there is no pointing finger, there's no one else to support or basically facilitate. So it's extremely rewarding in a sense that you get to understand yourself, you get to understand how you interact with the world around you. Everything becomes super responsive. If you do a good work, you see the result. If you do bad work, you see the results immediately. So it becomes a very fulfilling personal journey. I would do it any other time. It's very difficult, it's scary, it's risky, but definitely the most rewarding, if you want to spend time in this planet, I think this is one of the best things one can do to assess and grow and basically explore her or his own basically potentials. So highly recommend it.
Yeah. You have 40 people. Yes. Can you please tell us how did you find them, all these 40 people, and how to select the best people for your team? Because for small entrepreneurs, it's a big struggle to find people who will be willing to work, who want to reach the KPIs, who want to drive your business forward. How did you manage to find these guys?
So I think there are so many things I want to say here about people. One of them is, how do you find them? Second is, when you find them, what do you do to make sure they're successful? Mm-hmm. And the third is, you can never be 100% right. So I'm definitely faulty of maybe hiring 400 people and always having, at the beginning especially, I had a huge problem because I was hiring people who used to come, sit in an interview, tell me so many things, and I would get inspired and excited that, yeah, let's do this. Mm-hmm. And then next morning, they're in the office 10 minutes late.
This is exactly what happened to me. Exactly, like same story.
And then what happens is, I sit and talk to them about what needs to happen, and then something small happens and they all change 5 colors and they get frustrated and they take it personally. So in the past, I would say 15 years, one of my most learning aspects as a person, and something that I'm really happy and proud of, is the people development side of things. Mm-hmm. Because I learned that if somebody comes and sits in front of you in an interview and tells you things, it's almost never true. I learned that because people don't really know what hard work is, they think they're willing to do what it takes, but they're actually not willing to do what it takes. Mm-hmm. So I had some people that started working for me and after 1 week went, "Are you crazy? How do you do this? I want my life back." And I said, pause. Didn't you last week told me that you wanted to reach this and that? Mm-hmm. How do you want to otherwise reach it? And they literally quit on me. They didn't believe, I was too fast for them and I was expecting too much. Mm-hmm. My team always laugh and say there is never a finish line for Niousha. Yes, there is never a finish line, because until the day I die, that's when the finish line is. And I expect the same from my team. Also, it's about productivity. I always say, if you want to be successful, your work starts at 9, be here 15 minutes earlier, have your breakfast, sleep early, have your mind so you can focus. Think about value creation. Think, how can I become the number 1 asset in this company, mm-hmm. that everybody knows me? And be willing to do what it takes. If you do a mistake, accept it. And if you need help, come and ask for it. So I think in general, dealing with people, one of the things I realized was that they say they're willing to do what it takes, but they're not. And you can tell in the first 2 weeks they're in the business. You don't need a long time to assess.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you feel their energy, their motivation really comes out in the first month, I would say. The next thing is, how do you find them and how do you know they're the right one for the role? There is 2 things. I always have a graph: skill, mm-hmm. and will. Mm-hmm. So it's a challenging situation because sometimes you get someone who are younger but have the willingness, mm-hmm. but don't have the skill.
Exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes you find the people with the right skills, but they're too old from a business, they've worked for too many years, so
Yeah.
they're too old, and they're thinking, you know what, I don't need to prove myself anymore, so they don't have the willingness. So my biggest challenge is really to find that niche there of people who have the skill and they have the will to make a big change. And trust me when I say there aren't many of those people.
I know.
I'm shocked. Guys, why? Seriously. There's so much you can do in your life and achieve in your life. Why are you, okay, if you're 50 already and you have 30 years of experience, you still have to have the willingness to create an impact in the business. And if you're 20 and you have the willingness, you need to accept that you don't have the skills. So I think today's millennials are very interesting because they have the willingness and they think willingness is everything. So they come and say, I'm happy, I'm going to do this and do that. And I say, great, where is your 20 years of experience? If you don't have it, are you willing to accept that you're here to learn? So they don't want to learn, they don't want to accept that they don't know, but also they have the willingness. And other way around, I have people who have amazing skills. And then they walk like this, and they come and say, oh, we have to do this again, we have to do that again. I'm like, guys, seriously? So that's my biggest challenge. But I would say as a leader, if you have someone that you can work with, they have enough skill and enough willingness. I'm not talking about the perfect situation, I'm talking about the acceptable standard. It's so important that you set for them a very clear line of expectation. So I have come up with something in Linkviva called the 5 success measures. So you want to call it KPIs or whatever, but for me it's 5 things that I make clear with you at the beginning when you get hired, that I expect from you, that if you do another 1,000 things and it's great, but you don't do these 5 and you don't deliver, you have failed in your role. So your success is on these 5. And this is how people can actually prioritize what to do and what to not do. So if in a day I have certain tasks and I have to prioritize, they can always refer back to the 5 success measure and say, this activity will impact which of my 5 success measures.
What are these?
So it's really, usually, let's say for a project manager, it's the quality rating that the client gives. So I would say if you're in project management, you're an amazing human being, you do great in 100 projects, but if you fail me on quality and my client is unhappy, that's not considered. Or if you're in client servicing and you don't deliver your numbers and you're such a lovable person, I still need to see results. So it becomes their KPI or that 5 success measure, one of them becomes about the result of the numbers they've achieved. And one thing I've included in everybody's KPI is compliance.
What is that?
Well, we have a very young team, being young ourselves, I consider myself young. We have a very young team and very dynamic team. And they're kind of rebels. So, they don't like to follow rules, they don't like to follow regulations. And I believe any successful business will be there if it has a strong foundation. And by a strong foundation, I mean enough systems and procedures and processes. So I like things to be very process driven. And I have 40 people who fight against following processes. So compliance to our processes and supporting it is definitely number one. It's one of the key success measures for everybody, no matter what your role is.
And the remaining 2, can you recall?
Again, it's different. So for example, for our creative, it's different for every role. For example, for our creative is a win ratio. So if you submitted and you worked on 10 creative proposals and I only won 1, that's 10% success rate. So don't tell me I'm an amazing creative person and you've won me 1. So this really allows me to assess and allows the person to assess their contribution and their success in the company. So it depends for every role.
Who are the top 3 businessmen for you at the moment?
I actually don't know. That's a good question. Sometimes people tell me, so, do you know what happened, in the news? And I say, no, I don't watch news. They said, so, what do you do? I say, I don't watch TV, I don't watch news.
Do you watch YouTube?
I watch YouTube.
Yeah.
Actually, that's all I watch. And but I only watch what inspires me on YouTube.
For example?
Personal development. I go and basically just type human psychology. How to how our mind works, success stories, relationships. So I always, just type this in YouTube and I watch the videos that come. So I can't really say there are, and honestly for me, a successful businessman or businesswoman would be someone who has balance. I have followed and listened to success stories of businessmen or women who have become so successful and made so much money, but then they had no life. I'm not inspired by them. I don't want to leave this world and life thinking that I have built a legacy. I'm Steve Jobs and I've built the biggest company in the world, but actually I didn't enjoy my life. I don't want to be on the hospital bed and writing what Steve Jobs wrote about his life. So maybe I haven't done enough research and I don't watch enough TV or stories, but I don't have anyone that I can tell you I really want my life to be like them. But I would say that for me, I want to have balance, and I'm inspired of living a balanced life.
When you just start business,
you can't have balance,
you do not think about it. So
No.
what do you think can help you shift from this hustle mode of working, like shuffling every day, to more balanced as where you are now?
I think you got to plan your life right. So again, for us, it was, okay, we're going to travel the world. Now, next stage, we're going to build a business. And so forget fun, everything else, we're going to build a business. And then it was about, we're going to have a family. So let's focus on our family. So it was, everything for us, it was kind of planned from a pipeline.
Yeah.
I would say we're very organized in that. But of course, the time that you're just starting a business, it's not about balance. You need to build something.
Yeah.
It's like a bank. You have to have the bank balance to be able to spend.
All right, as I see on the wall, you have lots of coaching institute diplomas, and right in the middle, you have GCC 50 Women Leaders Diploma. Why did you decide to go to the coaching institute? Do you think it's important for a businessman to go to some programs like that? And how this diploma could help you develop further in your business?
Sure, well this one is, they awarded me as the top 50 GCC women leaders. They were very kind. Again, they found me, they interviewed me, and this is a certificate that I got. But the rest of them are from Robert Simic Coaching Institute. It's my, that's how I became a life coach. That's where I studied. Well, I would say the past nearly 15 years of my life has always been about study of human behavior. I'm very intrigued and I love how human psychology work. So for me, understanding to be a life coach, when I'm dealing with people as individuals, I can really read behind what they say. So if you're talking to me about what you want to do in life, I can really see few steps behind that. And I can really understand your childhood, what you've been through, why do you want to be somewhere, is your why strong? These are the things, and also in life, do you have a good relationship with your mother or your father? How is that actually showing up in doing business or coming to work? So there is who we are, every single one of us, goes back to our childhood.
Exactly.
So by being a life coach, understanding human psychology, human behavior, I'm able to really work with my team, not just on tasks and business, but really help them become better human beings and happier in their life.
I like this one, hypnotist. You can.
I cannot hypnotize you. Don't ask me to do that.
I wanted to test if Niousha can hypnotize me. Okay.
Maxime.
Yeah, it's funny. And what does RSCI coach means?
So this is actually a short form for Robert Simic Coaching Institute. That's the institute. So that's how you become a coach. And basically there are different courses. So this one, for example, is a time paradigm technique. And for me now as a practitioner of time paradigm, I can work with someone to actually take them back to their childhood, to the very first time where they experienced their key emotions, and then see how they can come to peace with them, so that their life today doesn't become affected with something that happened in their childhood when they were 3 years old.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting, something happens at a critical developmental age for all of us as children, and then that might become our defining character
Yeah.
We could not know and live our whole life to prove somebody or something wrong that happened in our childhood. And imagine, I have 40 people who carry many years of their past, their childhood experiences, their emotional baggages, and then I expect to treat them all the same way. It doesn't work that way. So that is really, really helpful for me when I'm dealing with my people.
Like for that, like. All right, guys, thank you very much. That was Niousha Ehsan, the founder, one of the co-founder of Linkviva, one of the best women entrepreneur, one of the best business women in the UAE. Thank you very much for hosting us today. We really enjoyed the time with you, and I think our subscribers, our viewers, they really gained some great inspiration and knowledge from you.
Thank you so much for being here, and I really hope that I was able to show a little bit about our journey and to give few hints that can help people in their lives.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get the #1 step-by-step guide on how to become your own boss in the UAE. You will learn how to start your own business in the UAE. Just click the link in the description below this video and follow this link. This is your time to start. Click the link below this video. Bam!